Hello and welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're covering Stage 3 of Finnish Brutality 2025, Fire and Ice. I've got you, brother. And before we get started here, a special thanks to Kit Badger for loaning me this drone video he took. That guy you see to the right of the shooter, the RO, that's me. I helped RO this stage during the RO match, and it was a really awesome stage. And I'm using this drone footage because it's going to give you a great idea of what's supposed to happen on the stage before you see our run through it. And you dashed up to this first barricade, as you saw the guy do. You had 3 targets downrange. You got hits in a 1-2-3, 1-2-3 pattern. You dragged your one wounded buddy over. Then you treated your other wounded buddy here by the proper application of a tourniquet. And then once that tourniquet was applied, you would go back and lay down more cover fire. And you had to get 6 more shots in a 1-2-3, 1-2-3 pattern again. And once those shots were obtained, you then advanced forward to get in a position to provide cover fire for the evacuation of your buddies. And believe it or not, it was a little bit harder than it looked. So once you made this dash, you had this position right there. You see him laying down there. It was a tire with some trees at it. That was your covered and concealed position. You could go either left or right. You had to get 4 more hits, remove your magazine, and make a clearing shot on a small target in the middle. And that was the stage.
What's going on here? I'm in trouble.
Now you're going to see my run. And I had the pleasure of this being our first stage of the day, borrowing an RK62 Mod 3 from Yari of Varosteleka. Much appreciated that. Great gun. It's the kind of the epitome of where the AK genre can go. So on the start, ran forward because this was on the first day of the main match, first stage, but the ground had already been turned pretty slick yesterday from the RO match. And when I went down, I accidentally hit the magazine release and knocked my mag out, so lost a little time getting loaded. And then had to get just in the right position to be able to see the targets right. Shooting the RK62 Mod 3 is unlike a regular AK, very smooth. It's almost like shooting an AR. The gun just comes right back on target when you pull the trigger. You had to stay under cover, as you can see here, while you dragged your buddy over. Once you got him, you then went and treated.
Put some fucking dirt on it, take a Motrin, suck it up.
I think I left my leg in the field. Can you go get it?
Pull yourself together, man. Get your leg over here, get your torso over here. Good.
Yeah, that took a little longer than I expected, but with gloves on, things just get harder. When it's cold and you got to wear gloves and bulky clothing, everything takes longer than you expect it to. Then getting my next 6 shots here. First time shooting the rifle was on the clock, so taking a little longer than normal just to get the feel of everything. And you'll notice I'm LARPing as a Finnish conscript. Got the Finnish MO5 Frosty camo on, the Finnish MO5 vest that all conscripts are issued. Moved out here fast as I safely felt going on the ice. I probably should have gone a bit further, honestly, or faster, excuse me. Made use of the cover and concealed. And magazine out and get that final shot.
Hey, yeah.
Okay, now we're on to stage 3. I got you, brother. This was actually our first stage of the day, and we had and didn't have an advantage here because the day before at the RO match, we 3 were the ROs for this stage. So to say we understood how it worked would be an understatement.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you did on the stage is from the start point, you ran up to a bunker made of tires that had a fairly narrow firing port through it. You had 3 targets downrange, 2 full-size silhouettes, and 1 66%. You got 6 hits in a 1-2-3, 1-2-3 pattern. Then from behind cover, you had to drag your buddy with a rope over to you safely, and then you had to turn around to your other buddy and apply a tourniquet to him. Once the tourniquet was done, and it was actually a bleeding thing, so you had to do it to get it and stop the bleeding and everything. Then you went back, repeated that engagement, and then you advanced forward to another covered position, and from the prone behind cover, made an engagement of 4 hits on the large targets in a 1-2-1-2 pattern, unload, clearing, high-value shot on the center target. A fast stage, but a really, really super cool stage as well. And I think, Nick, you rocked it for us on this one, so why don't you lead off?
Yeah, sure. On this stage, the biggest thing is just violent movement, and that included for movements between your the two shooting positions, but also in applying a tourniquet. I don't think there was a big par out. I think we had one par out on ours, and that was just something not involved with the person shooting, but the fact that their equipment just told.
Yeah, the guy had
failure.
a pretty severe equipment failure, so much he decided to do the stage with his pistol.
Yes, Miko did really well despite
he rocked
that.
it. Yeah. But he did par out, but I think that was the only one we saw.
Correct. And but to that point, the violent application of that tourniquet, doing that was the biggest time suck, and that was the place where if you were doing the movement and the shooting right, that was where you would have the most time there. And the prop there was great. Really good for actually showcasing hey, you are applying it properly, you are applying pressure to the wound.
Yeah.
And the prop they had was wonderful to showcase that versus other matches I've done where it's okay, hey, put it on, it looks tight enough, 2 turns, cool, game on.
Yeah. No, you had to do this one correctly, and the guy was judging you.
Correct.
That wasn't an RO call. That was the sponsor who was doing that stage. He was making the call.
Yeah. Finnish Tactile Medicine guys, very skilled, very impressive resumes.
Yeah. And we'll do a feature on their product because they've made a new version of the tourniquet where it's pretty innovative. We'll cover that in another video. Matt, you did the next best out of us, so...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so I kind of mentioned it in the previous stage, but for me, it was a little bit of a slow and steady first getting the jitters out for the match. But it was getting down on the Car 21, that charging handle. I could get down on target, charge it, and then begin firing. So that kind of, for me, sped things up. That rifle is rock solid. It does not move. So when you pull that trigger, you can have fast follow-up shots. Mm-hmm. And pulling the dummy wasn't bad. Putting on the tourniquet, I got a really good, tight first strap.
Nice.
When I put it around, so it was only maybe a little bit over 1 turn was as far as it was going to go.
Excellent, very good.
So I got through that pretty quickly, and then slow and steady as an old man, right, running down to the next position. But it was good.
I'd say it was steady, definitely not slow.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. The cool thing is I came in third of us, but there was less than 20 seconds between us.
Yeah.
That's how tight. And for me, it was just little cumulative things. This is my first stage. I'm using the RK62 Mod 3 for the first time. Thanks, Yari, for loaning that. But also shooting it for the very first time on the clock and just learning the mechanics of that quirk of the rifle. It's the sight. I got to get here like this. Okay, manipulate safety. It's not an AR. Oh, I didn't line up quite right in the port. Just the little things like that robbed me of some
even
time.
with me using probably one of my most used things to getting into that position at first, it was paired with a little bit of ice and going on there.
Yeah.
That especially as our first stage of us just actually trying to move for the first time on that, there was a little bit of that there. So I know I had that experience with stuff that I use a lot. I can definitely say that with you touching it for the first time, you definitely had a lot of variables going against you for that.
Yeah, and if I'd had one of my own rifles with me, I could have got that 20 seconds back.
Sure.
No
Well,
doubt,
and
without a
if
shadow
you
of
think
doubt.
about it too, it was a incredibly fast stage. There were people that were getting in. I think it was definitely low 70s was
low. I think for ours it was 70, but I'm sure there was maybe sub 65 or just sub 65 in there.
But if you look at it as under a minute for that entire stage, seconds truly matter.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they added up quick. Less between 20 than all of us, and you were mid 80s. You were 90, and I was just over 100.
Yeah.
So and at no point did I feel I was lollygagging.
Yeah.
But it was a super fun stage. I mean, incredibly simple yet incredibly effective stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a hallmark brutality stage.
Yeah.
You look down there, small target array, simple task to do because that tourniquet did kick a few people's butts.
And you know, gloves. I ate a lot of time just working with gloves, and that's a skill that I don't practice a lot, and even more so, don't practice a lot in the conditions we had, the frigid cold.
That's probably a thing to mention is gloves probably reduce your effectiveness 10%.
100%.
Yeah.
We were not ready for that. And Matt and I had done a little bit of practicing beforehand, and we were not ready for that.
Yep. We hope you found this coverage of Stage 3 of Finnish Brutality 2025 Fire and Ice. Brother, I got you. Helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in tomorrow for Stage 4.
Magazine off. And last touch.